This is an intervention.
It's an intervention.
If you have been preparing to run a game of Daggerheart for weeks, months, or even years, but have yet to actually run a game of Daggerheart, listen up.
By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what you need to run your very first Daggerheart session without reading the entire core rulebook cover to cover multiple times.
We're even going to tell you what you can safely skip or just avoid for now. Hi, I'm Allison.
I'm Matt.
And we really love TTRPGs, especially Daggerheart.
And we both really have ADHD. So we know this particular feeling of yours extremely well.
It's true. So if you have talked yourself into the fact that you're not allowed to GM until you're fully ready and you know every rule, that is not preparation. It's paralysis.
We think we can help. Let's go.
Let's dive in. So up first, we're going to talk about a little something I like to call the MVGM.
Okay. Say more. What does MVGM stand for?
The minimum viable game master, of course.
Okay, great. Awesome.
Glad I could clear that up. So in Daggerheart, you really only need to understand 5 core things to get started. 1, how duality dice work. 2, how to call for rolls in the game. 3, the general flow of combat, things like how to spotlight and the fact that there's no initiative. 4, basic understanding of reading an adversary stat block. And 5, a starting situation, something to shove you in the adventure together.
That's the MVGM. Okay, let me tell you what you don't need, though. You do not need every Daggerheart domain memorized. You do not need every environmental rule internalized. You do not need to know the difficulty of every adversary. There's a lot of edge case clarifications you just don't need to know right now. You do not need the perfect system mastery of this book. You need the mechanics that will actually show up at your table tonight. If anything else comes along, you just learn about it as it comes.
And remember, this is a collaborative game. You're in this with your players, so you can always say, tell me more about that.
That's right.
So why don't we give more of a concrete example of some of the things we're talking about in our next point, shall we?
Hell yes.
So that leads us to our next point, which is that Daggerheart is built for discovery. I would venture a guess that most TTRPGs are, and they expect you to learn while playing.
That's right. You've got one job. Facilitate the story.
Absolutely. This is not a closed book exam. You are welcome to bring your notes with you. This is just improv with guardrails. In fact, some of the world's best GMs still have to say, let me look that up.
Look it up.
If they get to do that, you absolutely do as well.
May we have an example of this, perhaps, AK?
Oh, okay, yeah. So the party finds themselves going through some kind of collapsed watchtower.
Okay.
And let's say in the moment, you as a player ask me if you can leap across a chasm.
Okay.
So the first thing that I would do as a GM is I would assess the moment. You have asked to do something. Is there a risk involved? I would say leaping across a rather large gap is some risk. Now I'm going to decide what kind of role I might want you to take. What do you think?
I would go with either strength or agility.
Perfect. So we're going to call for an agility roll. And if you've got duality dice, go ahead and make it. And I'll kind of talk you through. So while you're doing that, I'm going to think through this. It's not a terribly deep fall. It's not a significantly wide chasm that you're leaping over. So I'm going to set the difficulty at around a 10. How'd you do?
I got a 12 with hope.
Ooh, okay, perfect. So that's a success with hope. And you and I would narrate together how you're able to just so easily leap across that chasm. And then I would continue from there. You know, duality dice can pull on some different levers for different outcomes. So let's say that you had succeeded, but with fear. Maybe as you made the leap on the other side, your foot kind of slipped and you started to kind of fall backwards, but you didn't. You caught yourself. The adrenaline started to rush, but now I've had you mark a stress. Nice. Or we can talk about failure. If there was a failure with hope situation, maybe it didn't even make the jump at all. And that's why you failed it, because you heard something or you saw something. And in that moment, I would stop and ask you to describe that, and the scene would continue from there. Or let's say the big consequence, a failure with fear, you didn't clear, you didn't stick the landing, something happened. What's that complication? And again, the scene would continue from there. But at the top, I don't know how these things are going to go. So I shouldn't spend a lot of time trying to navigate that ahead of time, right?
Right. You would be in big trouble if you spent a ton of time trying to script out this delicious moment of possibilities and then get to that moment and your players fail with fear. You realize you hadn't planned for that, right?
Exactly.
That would remove the collaboration element, the discovery part, and that's where all the fun is.
Exactly.
You're prepping for a situation, not the whole plot.
Ooh, so we told you at the very beginning of this that you do not need to read all 415 beautiful pages of the Daggerheart core rulebook in order to run your first session. You should, because it's really great, but you don't have to. Here's everything that you need to know. Follow the fiction, ask questions, incorporate the answers.
That's right. Most new GMs over-prepare because they think that they're responsible for scripting this story, but you are not. What GMs are responsible for is the pressure, the wind beneath your players' wings, all the things that go bump in the night. You are the one who knocks.
I am the one who knocks.
So instead of outlining every scene, think of it more as a 3-step prep. Number 1, what is happening now? The players are outside a dark forest. They suddenly hear a pack of wolves howl menacingly. That's what's happening. Number 2, who wants to do something badly? Do the players want to rush into the forest and kick the wolves' asses? Do the wolves want to rush out of the forest and kick the players' asses? Is there like a hag of the woods that suddenly appears and kicks everybody's ass? I don't know. Who wants to do something, right? And then the third part is take into consideration the possibility that your players might not want to do anything. They get to the forest, they hear the wolves, and then they turn around and go back the other way. This is very possible.
I love that. What's happening right now? Who wants something badly? And what happens if the players do nothing?
Right.
That's it. That is the whole session. You are applying the pressure. The players are pushing back. The situation is causing reactions. Hope and fear are generating even more twists. So here's my question. What about pre-built adventures?
I knew that you were going to ask that. A pre-built adventure is slightly more complicated because you've got everything right there. It is very scripted out, right? But luckily the same rules apply.
Okay.
Here's an example. Do you remember the time where I prepped for hours and hours for y'all to get to the old bone grinder? The windmill in our Curse of Strahd campaign that went on for 5 years? Yeah. So all I needed to do was have a general concept of the windmill. The players get up to the door, they knock on the door. The door opens. Granny, nice Granny with the cart that they met in Barovia, right? But I went way beyond that. I said, and then Granny will invite them in. She'll sit them down. She'll offer them something to drink. And this player will say, yes, I will take it. It's poison, right? And look, they know while drinking this tea. Above, Granny. Anyway, I spent hours and hours and hours on something that y'all never saw. I shouldn't have done that.
Right. And the thing that we know, having run a couple sessions between us, is that never in the history of any of these sessions ever has it gone the way we thought it would and tried to script that it should.
Yeah.
So now we're learning to just be ready with the bare minimum. If you had just had, here's what the windmill looks like, and here's a couple of stat blocks, and then had seen the entire scene through our eyes and what we were kind of distilling, in the room and in the space.
Right. You do not need to memorize rules for events that may never happen in your game.
You need to know 3 things. What is happening? What kind of pressure can I start to apply? And who is pushing back?
That's right. So you're ready. Set a date right now.
Yes.
Run the game.
Run the dang ball.
Go for it.
Yeah. Report back how it goes. If this video helped you feel even a little bit more prepared, be sure to hit subscribe. We built this channel for the I love TTRPGs, but I'm not sure I'm ready to run them crowd. And we're in the trenches with you, discovering all the things that we need to know and getting tabletopsy-turvy. We'll see you in the next video. Nerds!
Okay. Nerds.